abafani nguJola. Ndizalwa intombi yasemamfeneni, uLisa uJambasi, uPhumla Jola. Ndikhulele eMdantsane kwa-16 Foray kuthiwe ke ngabantu abahlala phaa bayaziyo. Ndaye ndazimanyana nesport se-bodybuilding ngonyaka ka-2001. Sport eso ndaye ndasintroducwa nguThando Xolo Mpushi for the past 18 to 19 years. Ngathi ke the first time I experienced into ndithi luthando was when I was introduced kwesi sport, because through thick and thin, challenges ndaye ndadibana nazo, I enjoyed kwesi sport, zange ndityhafe. Esi sport se-bodybuilding sisport esingaziwayo kakhulu eMdantsane, and it's very much challenging to explain i-bodybuilding ebantwini, because when you talk about i-bodybuilding, abantu bacinga uba uthetha nge-powerlifting, utsala itraki, uthini, abanye bacibana i-wrestling, which is it's not. I-bodybuilding in itself is a sport also perceived as an art. Sisport ekujongwa i-physique yakho, uma kwi-stage bakujaje ngokwe-physique yakho, i-conditioning yakho yomzimba. You are required to diet for a certain period of ixesha, whereby you come and display umzimba wakho ku-panel of judges, and they crit you and score you, and whoever has the best physique on the day becomes the winner. So it's a sport code that has been around for many years. It's just that on a bigger scale, worldwide, 1% of the world is involved in it. So it's a very niche sport, in as much as it's got a huge following fan base internationally and nationally up in South Africa kwabantu abasazi. Ukhula kwam, I was introduced kwi-rugby. Utata wayithanda i-rugby kakhulu. Umamam was an athlete in her own right. Wayebaleka esikolweni sakhe. So I could say I was groomed or born into a family that was sport bound or had sport roots, so to say. I was always a hard worker. I think Fuze umamam kakhulu, because he hard worker in herself. I was always a hard worker. I would put in the extra time. And what I found that in most team sports, regardless of how hard you work as an individual, everything is always based around the team that you are working with. You can work hard as an individual, and others might lack, babe lazy, and you are putting in the work, but the results as a team are not showing. So I was always one that hated to lose. I despised to lose. I wanted to be the hardest working person in the room. So I fell in love with the bodybuilding because your hard work reflects in your work ethic, and it was the only sport that I got introduced to at the time that I could work alone and my hard work would reflect on stage. It was never easy coming from the home I grew up in, being brought up by a single parent, and the one thing that my mother put forward to us that no one can take away was the education. We went, and I say this with pride because it's something that my mother prides herself about. We went to the best schools because she wanted the best education for us. I was lucky and fortunate enough to go to Selborne College, and it in some way it showed me two sides of the world, if I could say, because growing up in Lokshin and knowing the struggles of Lokish, and going to a privileged school and seeing and being with other children that are privileged, you were able to see both sides of the world, and it actually opened my eyes. So at a young age, I used to go to a school and take a train to school, and be with the students that were dropped by a driver, dropped by parents, they were privileged than us, But it opened my eyes and stretched my mind, and it allowed me to see and dream and say, one day, this is what I want for myself, this is what I want for my family, and not use those disadvantages as a platform for me to say, yeah, I'm disadvantaged, So yeah, I think there were many struggles, and there were many challenges that drained me emotionally and mentally, because even at home, the sport code I was involved in, it demanded a lot out of one, and the rewards were very little, you know. So I remember dieting a pill chart and normal rice, and people would laugh as following. And for many years, if you go to my peers that went to school with me, everyone knows me for the diets that I used to be on. And I remember even having a pie was a privilege. I never had junk food, because even at home, it was a privilege for us to have lasagna, and it was something that you have once a month. It was a privilege for us to have pizza, and it was something that you have once a month. Only when your mother gets paid, you know that that would be the day that you would have those things. So I had many challenges, but because of the love that I had for as a sport, you look past. I always say that believe in the dark what the Creator promised you in the light. So when there are hard times, you must believe that the light will shine. Having faith and hope is having those things in the evidence of no results. Because there are no results, but you have those things. You know that at the end, I will prevail, and at the end, the sun will shine. I have a motto which I live by, which goes as follows: many are called, few are chosen. And for me, it was a calling. I said it before, that the first time I experienced love was when I was introduced to the sport. And what kept me motivated at the time was chasing a dream. It was not a matter of I'm chasing a destination, I want to see myself here at a certain time. When you are chasing a dream, there is no destination. Every year there's a certain goal you set, and you set certain benchmarks as a motivation for yourself. So I remember at the time when I started, I wanted to be the best teenager in South Africa. Then, as I grew older, things changed. I said to myself, I want to give more of myself than I received out of the sport, because I saw the change it had in my life and the impact it had in my life. And then I did many things within the sport that prove such. And then where I am now in life, I recently had a daughter, and my motivation changed again, and it said, I want to live a life that will live behind a legacy for my child one day to say, I'm proud of my father, and he did so and so, and if he can do it, why can't I? There are many people that along the road. I'll start off by Michael McLachlan and Thando Xolompush. I'll put them under one umbrella, because Thando Xolompush was the one that introduced me to Michael McLachlan. The first competition that I did, I'll say the first proper competition I did, was a Gamaic. It was a Waba show in the year 2002. Mike took me under his wing. He was a father to me, he was a mentor to me, he was a brother to me, and for many years helped me. I later on met Darren Schultz, whom also was a person that had a huge impact in my earlier junior years as I grew older. I met Jason White, I met Michael Ott, I met Stephen Gebengeshe, I met Ulwazi Buso, I met Ed. So there are many people, Ulusindi Sowakashe. There are many people that I can recall off my head that played a huge role in my life in their way, and led me and built me to the person I am. And in all of them, due to the fact that I grew up without a father figure in my life, I took certain elements and certain things in them that built me as an adult. Because in everything, in every person, there's good and bad, and you try by all means to see the good in people. And they played a big role in who I am today as a man, who I am today as an athlete. And I owe a lot of my success because if it was not for them, I would have not been the person I am today. One of the biggest challenges with bodybuilding, there is a lot of money that is put into the sport, but that money is not filtrated to the athletes. We know that there is money that is allocated and budgeted for bodybuilding, but sadly, somewhere, somehow, the wagon falls apart because that money is not seen at shows as prize money. And if be it may that there is prize money, it's never the initial amount that was put into the athletes. And it's sad that athletes in themselves, in their regard, don't involve themselves. It's, when you are fighting something as an individual, it's always difficult because it's easy for people to brush it under the mat. But when you fight in masses, it becomes more powerful because the voice becomes louder. And I've queried and asked for accountability of the money that is put into a sport to the relevant people, but till to date, no one has been able to give me a valuable answer regarding that. So we put in a lot of work and effort into as a sport, and even this sport of ours is divided amongst itself because people within itself are power hungry. And the main reason behind that power, that hunger for power, is money. That's one would be shocked, but when you want to engage these matters, it's best to have those facts in place so that you can show the people. But it's difficult to show people facts when there's never been a credible financial report that has ever been done in the sport code in the past 10, if not 15 years, I can recall, in bodybuilding. And when you query such things, you become the enemy of people because people see you as an enemy because you are trying to expose certain individuals, yet you are just wanting the truth. And truth be told, bodybuilding is just like boxing in many codes because it's also divided into federations. And I always say, if boxers can get the money that they're getting, the purses that they're getting, and why is it that bodybuilders are not getting the same regard? Because we're putting in more or less, if not more, effort into our sport than they are. It's the same, Why are we not being treated the same when there's money allocated into our sport? You go to shows, athletes are being given lucky packets, I call them, as prize money, and you bring your family and friends, and it's an insult to you as an individual. You're putting so much effort, and this is the reward you get at the end of the day. Granted, you see some shows would have money, but what about that kid that comes 6th? What about that kid that comes 5th? What about that kid that comes 4th? What are you giving to that kid that says, I'm motivating you so that even next year you are coming? And then even those that are doing so well in the sport, why are the results of, or the outcome of the results are being manipulated by political endeavors within the sport or political interests within the sport? Because you go to some of the shows, and some of the shows are won before they even take place. And truth be told, bodybuilding will always be a subjective sport. That's the sad part. It's not like sprinting where the guy that comes first. There's always hidden endeavors within our sport. In a nutshell, what it's really taught me about myself, I'm a very strong-willed person to stand up for the things that I believe in, and to fight for what I love, because I truly love, and to be selfless, to give more than want to receive. And I'm blessed in so many ways that I am where I am, and I'm able to do some of the things that I do for others and not want anything back. And I think one of the things that is painful to me is seeing people helping other people, but using those platforms as a platform to get likes on social media, comments on social media, and not doing things out of the heart. And truly, I've had people in the industry that I've helped that no one knows about, and I've had people that have helped me and have never asked me to promote them. They've helped me truly on the basis of wanting to see me succeed as an individual and as a person. So yeah, I think in a nutshell, that's what it's taught me. I think if I knew some of the things that I know now, regarding the sport, I would have fought for the masses longer, way before I did, because I was always at a position whereby I could do things for myself, but I would always ask, what about those that can't do things for themselves? And you see, the problem is that some of us are not educated or do not have the knowledge or the know-how of these platforms. So if I knew some of the things that I knew then, or I know now, I would have fought more for the masses then. But the day and time you mentioned the name Jola, believe you me, people know me in the industry. And I think one of the things that I've realized, I've gotten to know, is that I'm not money. Not everyone is going to like me, and I'm fine with that. I don't expect and I don't want the whole world to like me or love me. I'm content with myself. I love me enough, and I don't need anyone else to love me more than my mother has loved me and more than I love myself. I think I don't need any approval from anyone to be who I am in life. So I said, you see, when I started this sport, I saw that a lot of people, let me put it this way, a lot of black people that are involved in the sport, I would say it's 90% of black people. And most of us black people do not come from privileged backgrounds. But bodybuilding has always been a way to escape from getting involved in gangs, drinking alcohol, and so forth. And it has been an element or a sport that has helped us try and keep our lives in the right path and have something to wake up and work towards. I realize that a lot of us are struggling financially because this sport requires a lot of money. So, and some of the federations and competitions that we enter really give nothing back. So I, at the age of 16, between the age of 16 and 15, I started my own bodybuilding show because I wanted to give back. So I got to a point whereby I want people to feel what I feel when I win. I want them to feel this experience, and I want them to learn more about the sport. I started my own show, and I did it in my own neighborhood in NU16. Ran the show for 2 years. The first year it was very small, but I had the support of people that I've mentioned that are still part of my life: Lucindi So, Steve Ngebengeshe. So those are just to mention a few. And even the guy that started, that guy that endorsed me in the first gym that I trained, the ghetto gym that I trained in, his name is Zukile. So it started there. And truth be told, there was nothing much to give to the guys at that time, because I was just a teenager who tried to raise funds and put together a show. Following year, I got the show grew bigger. We got a bigger platform, got Coca-Cola involved, a huge truck that used to go around, and then I moved to PE, and then things changed. Fast forward to 3 years back, due to some of the wars, if I can put it that way, that are going on with federations wanting to take ownership of certain platforms within the BCM region, we decided to host a show in Butterworth, and it was the biggest development private show in South Africa. And we did something that has never been done in the world, and we pride ourselves about this. We gave out the first boxing belt that was given out in a bodybuilding platform. We had it imported from America, and it was not a floating trophy. It was given to the overall winner. We gave away over 30,000 rands worth of money to our show. Had the support of Nutritech, had Vodacom supporting our show, had Red Bull, and various other sponsors that I'm failing to remember. I think Body Culture was one of them. So those were the people that stood by our side. We had a number of private judges that came on board. One federation that took it upon themselves to put all the politics aside and support us was PCA. They stood with us recently. So and we want to grow that show even bigger, and we want to bring it into East London, preferably in Mdantsane. We had it. We did run it for 2 years in Mdantsane, but we had to move it due to some political wars within federations and so forth. So I've always wanted to give back, and I've helped a number of athletes in terms of coaching them, and I've never made them pay. For me, it's never been about money. It's always been about seeing them reach their full potential, and it's never been about waving their flag and be like, hey, look where they are now, it's because of me. It's been about sharing the knowledge that it was once given to me to them, so that they can be able to achieve what I've achieved and more, and see them in a better space. I've helped lots of athletes achieve and get sponsorships from different companies, and I've helped them in my personal capacity in terms of helping them financially to be able to get where they want to get in life. So yeah, my goal in life, well, I would say when it comes to bodybuilding, is to really one day see the sport honor and give credibility to all the athletes at large, regardless of what federations they come from, and give them the opportunity financially so that they can be able to sustain and see themselves competing internationally. It might not happen in my time, and I hope it happens in the next generation, because it's something that I truly fight for, because we all come from different backgrounds and we are not granted the same opportunities in life. And you can never change the certain things that are happening behind closed doors, but you can be an influence so that people, at least when they are doing them, that they think twice. We are crying out to BCM that here's the sport code. East London is one of the biggest provinces that is producing the best athletes. We've got a number of pros in East London itself, in Mdantsane. We've got a number of athletes in Mdantsane that have competed internationally. There's no recognition that has ever been given to them. People need to look into everything that is happening. There are people that are saying that, okay, I'm heading sport in East London, but if you're not at grassroots level, you don't know what's happening. And the painful thing is that the people that are at grassroots levels, they are the ones that are suffering. For me, the journey has never been about me, but to see others prosper and blossom. And I think to whom much is given, God expects much in return. So I really want to see others prosper, and hopefully one day I could also have a gymnasium that I want, that I can groom other athletes, just like Michael McLaughlin has got, help other athletes and see themselves prosper in it, and give back to the community at large, not just in bodybuilding, help other people health-wise in their life aspects. And I think for me, my journey in life is changing in a big way, because now I'm no longer looking at life as a young man, and life is about me. I'm looking at life as a family man, and life is not just about me, but life is more about what am I going to leave behind for my child, and the next generation. So yeah, that's me, man.